What's up, world? Your boy, a guy named Ty, reporting live from the MITM podcast. And today we're going to talk about imagination. Could you imagine that? Run my intro.
Caught up in them bright lights, lusting for shiny things that's golden. Everything ain't always what it seems, let it soak in. Chasing my dreams, coming apart at my seams. Best believe that the money is the
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the MITM podcast. And today, did you know that imagination is more important than knowledge? And this is not me saying this. This is Albert Einstein talking about how imagination is more important than knowledge. We're back at our book, Becoming Your Own Banker by R. Nelson Nash. And we're going to talk about the infinite banking concept. Okay? It's a concept. It's not a product. It's an idea and how we do this idea. Okay? Now, the infinite banking concept is an exercise in imagination, reason, logic, and prophecy. So to start out, let's begin with the part about imagination. To help stimulate your imagination, let's go back to a time in the 1700s. The German schoolmaster was having trouble with his boys that day. They were rowdy 7-year-olds, and he wanted to quiet them down. So to punish them, he gave them a problem. Add up all the numbers, 1 through 100. The boys got their slates down and started working on the problem. His plan seemed to be working, except for one boy who just sat there staring out the window. Presently, he picked up his slate, wrote down a number, and turned it in to the schoolmaster. Since his was the only correct answer, the schoolmaster took note of the fact and asked the boy how he did it. The boy said, "I visualized a line with a figure 1 on the left side and a figure 100 on the right side. Then I cut the line in half at its halfway point, 50, and folded the scale to the left so that there were now 2 lines that were parallel. 100 was lined up with 1 on the left side, and 50 and 51 were lined up on the right side. Adding the 2 numbers on each side of the scales was easy to do. I noticed all the pairs of number in between on the scale added up to 101. And there were only 50 pairs of the sets of 101. Multiplying 101 times 50 is simple. The total is 5,050. Thereafter, the young boy received special tutoring, and he later became one of the 3 greatest mathematicians of all time. His name was Carl Gauss. Now, young Gauss did not invent that fact. He discovered what God had done already. He discovered a relationship between numbers that is fixed and nothing can be done to change it. Now that we understand this fact, we can take a shortcut in getting the answer. Whenever we're adding anything beginning with 1 and ending with a multiple such as 10, 100, 1000, etc., you simply pick the midpoint, in the first case cited above, 50, and simply put that same figure along it, 5,050. So to add all the numbers 1 through 1,000, you simply pick the midpoint, 500, and put 500 alongside it. Simple and accurate. It is fixed. Try to pass some law to change that fact, and you're engaging in an exercise of futility. Nevertheless, somewhere in the past, I've heard legislator in some state try to get the mathematical term pi changed from 3.1416 to 3 because it's too complicated and cumbersome. These demigods could not conceive that they were dealing with fixed relationship that they could not change and had no authority over. But therein lies the story of mankind since time began. And that's the chapter on imagination. That's pretty dope. It took someone looking at things just a little differently than everyone else. And the idea was right there in front of their faces. Now, I know that this is from the Infinite Banking book, and it talks about imagination and seeing something that most don't. But how many things in our lives could be fixed with a little bit of imagination, a little bit of creativity, okay? How many things in our lives would be radically different if we just shifted the lens with which we looked at it? More times than not, the problem is right there in front of our faces. Not even the problem, the solution is right there in front of our faces, telling us how to get over it, telling us how to fix it. But so many of us don't have the tools to do so. So many of us don't have the wherewithal, the knowledge, the lived experiences to do so. This is why sometimes we can tap into specialists. This is why sometimes we need to tap into masterminds or friends. This is why sometimes we just need to sit and be still and vibrate with the energy we want to attract the ideas that we want. There's so many ways to do things, And it may not be perfect, but what do they say? Halfway started is halfway done. Something like that, some quote. I need my assistant to help me get my quotes in order. But that's it for imagination. And so I want you to keep that in mind as we go forward with the infinite banking concept, and we go forward with the different tools that are available to us with the infinite banking concept, because that's all it is. It's just a concept. It's just an idea. And when we work with ideas, anything is. We have telepathy, guys. We have worldwide telepathy. Hey, it's not built into our physical being, but we created devices that let us communicate with anyone in the world anytime that we want to say anything at all. This podcast, they call it a broadcast, right? Because I'm sending it out to the world. And it's like having the ideas from my brain transmitted across the waves and frequencies in the sky and sent to you. And that was an idea that someone had. They discovered radio waves and said, hey, we can send things across these waves. We've been building up on that technology since. And Elon Musk is trying to put chips in people's brains, so you don't even need a device anymore. You just think something and it's gone and went over to someone else. Gonna have a hive mind human race in the next 200 years. I mean, we're already pretty much a hive mind. I started calling, I had a folder with all my social media accounts back in the day, and I called it the hive mind, because that is what social media is. There's social mind contagions and all sorts of stuff, but everyone's on the same wave. Everyone watched that same show. Everyone knows that same joke. Everyone follows that influencers. Everyone, at least in pockets right now, it's becoming more and more hive mind like. But that's neither here nor there. The main thing that I want to talk about is the fact that imagination is the foundation to anything and everything that you want in life. And maybe, just maybe, with a little more imagination, a little more belief, everything that you desire can be attained. Anyways, that is it for today's episode of the MITM podcast. Imagine that. I hope you guys got some value out of this. If you did, feel free to share it with someone that you love. And leave us a positive review. We would love to have a positive review to maybe help us grow. I think we're on episode 31. Can you believe it? We're on episode 31 of season 2. We've been consistent with this one. Damn. But with that being said, I hope you also have a powerful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace. Give 'em that creme de la creme whenever I spit that hot shit.